Toofty thinks too much. We haven't done one of these for a while. But it's true, I do indeed think far too much. I like to think I have quite an analytical brain, which can be good and bad. I'm trying to go to sleep and my brain's like, oh, let's just think about all those things that happened today and analyse them very carefully, and let's think about all those things that might happen tomorrow. Let's just not sleep. Who needs sleep? We'll wait until 4 AM and then we'll think about sleeping. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about trolls again. When I say that, I mean people who are a bit douchey on the internet. And what inspired this was I saw a woolen sleevelet video recently. I'm sure you guys have all heard of him. Very awesome YouTuber, and he was talking about his attitude to responding to people being annoying, rude, abusive, whatever on the interwebs, right? I've talked about this before. I wanted to revisit the topic because I genuinely think it's really interesting, right? There's a lot to this. He talked about how, you should ignore them, just mute them, that kind of thing, which is totally true, and I completely recommend it. But I wanted to talk about this a bit more and some theories I have, and again, it's genuinely me thinking too much, but sometimes I do answer them and I say certain things, and I wanted to explain why I do that. But anyway, just to kick us off, I wanted to introduce you to the idea of emotional intelligence. Have you heard of that before? Perhaps not. Maybe if you're a bit older, you would have heard that phrase branded about. Basically, like IQ, you can test your, I guess it's called EQ, right? You can actually test it. It's a thing. It's measurable. I'm going to put a link in the description, actually, to a website you can go to. It's probably lame. I don't know. I did it really quickly just for jokes. I don't know how reputable that site is or anything. And also, I've whacked a link to the Wiki article as well, just so, in case you're interested to read up on it. But like, the way you deal with trolls and scumbags on the internet is entirely down to how you can manage, how good your emotional intelligence is, right? How you can manage your emotions in the moment. So let me explain what exactly emotional intelligence is. Do you know what? I'll read it straight from the wiki. It's probably better than me trying to reword this. Emotional intelligence, EI, is the capability of individuals to recognise their own emotions and those of others, discern between different feelings and label them appropriately, use emotional information to guide thinking and behaviour, manage and/or adjust emotions to adapt environments or achieve one's goals. Blah 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 blah, whatever. Basically, the way I see it is, in that very moment, someone's slagging you off, you're trying to win this game, and they've just killed you, and they've just taunted, and they've been abusing you the entire game, or whatever it is. In that very moment, when you feel, like the blood going to your head, you're getting angry, right? Just being able to recognise that, wait a second, this is ridiculous, I'm getting angry, and if I just hold off, don't do those reactive things you want to do, like immediately. You want to just open up chat and just say the most horrific things ever, right? That's kind of your natural instinct, to just lash out or run away. It's like fight or flight, right? Having a high EQ is someone who can recognise that they're hitting that stress point and go, do you know what, I'm not going to do what my brain wants me to do, I'm going to do something different. Or maybe I'm going to do nothing, right? And you see this an awful lot when you're playing competitive gaming, and the word tilt itself is literally this. It's people who have, I don't know, potentially a lower EQ or have really reached their tipping point, and therefore they're reacting to a situation and maybe playing worse or being stressed or whatever. And it's interesting because as an individual, I'm very anxious, and I've talked about competitive anxiety, and I can't work in a competitive environment. But saying that, if I play Overwatch on competitive mode, I just don't tilt anymore. I just don't care anymore. Sometimes I play with my mates, and the moment we lose a match, everyone goes really quiet, and I'm like, guys, we're just having a laugh here. I don't understand. So I think sometimes it's something you can kind of train yourself to do. Like with Overwatch, I started to realise that it really doesn't matter for my rank. I really don't care. I used to care, and now I don't. And for some reason, I seem to have gotten over that hurdle. Anyway, a couple of little additional bits of information for you about emotional intelligence, and then I'm going to talk about my philosophy and how I approach those pesky trolls. Okay, so apparently people with a high EI find it easier to form and maintain interpersonal relationships and fit into group situations. Again, I'm reading this off some article, which is another weird one because if you didn't know, I'm actually very much an introvert. Lots of facts you didn't know about me coming out today. There's more, I could tell you more, but I'm not going to. Maybe the next episode, you never know. But at the same time, I think I'm good at fitting into groups, but at the same time, a big group, I go quiet. So I don't know. I think I have a decent emotional intelligence. So I don't know. It's a bit conflicting, that one. But the next thing I wanted to say here is it talks about people with a high emotional intelligence are better at understanding their own psychological state. So knowing how you're feeling at any given moment. So do you recognize when you're getting stressed out on the internet? I think that's one half of it, right? It's recognizing you're getting stressed and then acting in the way you want to act. The way I've always thought about it is in an hour's time, when you look back, did you act how you wanted to, or do you live in regret? Do you think you made a nice sensible decision, or did you act a bit mental? And the final thing I wanted to say was there is no correlation between IQ and EI. So there you go. Just interesting facts for you, yeah? That's the kind of guy I am. Just throwing out the interesting facts. This whole series, Toofty Thinks Too Much, is because I think I really like psychology. So I find this stuff really interesting, so I wanted to share with you guys. So what do? I like to think I'm okay in these situations. I think because I've gotten old, I don't care as much. I would imagine your EI kind of matures as you get older. I don't know, perhaps that's the case. I'm making this up now. So yeah, going back to the beginning of this video, of course, you should ignore them, right? If you think you're getting stressed, switch off chat. There's a bind for doing that, I believe. Mute all the other guys in chat, that kind of thing. It's really simple. For me, as a YouTuber, I get a lot of comments as well. It's something you can't really switch off in the same way, and I definitely try and read all my comments, so I will obviously come across those people who just can't wait to have a little bit of a slagging off sesh. So yeah, you could apply the same logic here. Ignore them, right? A lot of them are just crying out for attention. We talked a bit about this in one of my last Toofty Thinks Too Much videos, right? Where I talked about why they do it. I'm genuinely intrigued about that topic. I think there's a few layers to it. Obviously, seeking attention is one of them. But there are, there are different categories. There are people who are just completely psycho, of course, as well. So we won't go into too much depth into that. But this is what I wanted to get to in today's video, right? So yeah, you could ignore them, but sometimes I reply to them, and why do I do that? It's because I think too much, and this is what I mean. So I think that they're probably kids, often kids, and they're saying something a bit stupid on the internet, and they're just shouting out on the internet, and they're doing this every day, and I just wondered, right, is it better to show these kids that they are talking to real human beings? Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's so easy to forget on the internet that people are talking to other real human beings, that it's just completely forgotten, and people just say all sorts of crazy stuff that they'd never say face to face. So my theory is, if I bring it a little bit back to reality and actually just, confront them and just say nice things. I don't encourage the argument. I just say something lighthearted or whatever it is. My theory is it makes them think twice and go, actually, oh, I'm talking to a real human being. But to be fair, it is a dangerous tactic because it can backfire. I had a bloke I started chatting to recently. I think I went about it wrong. He said something horrific about me. I kind of replied in a jokey sense, and then he started going all like extremist on me, and I like religious extremist, like proper mental. And I was like, I'm gonna step away from this one. You gotta know where to draw the line, and just so yeah, I just deleted that comment thread because it was like proper. It was weird. So there are some psychos out there who you definitely should leave alone. But yeah, in conclusion, those kids who are just, I don't know, how old are kids these days? 12, on the internet, just having a laugh. They're being silly with their mates. They say something offensive. You just say something back, and it just kind of earths the conversation, brings it to reality. This is my theory anyway, that it makes them realise that, oh, I'm talking to a real human being here. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Have I just gone mental? I probably have, let's be honest. I'm probably thinking far too much. One last example for you guys. So recently I did a video and it talks about my attempt at playing ETF2L. And then someone came in the comments and said, I played you in match 5, you lacked DM, you lacked positioning, you lacked awareness, you lacked skill, you lacked everything. Clearly just trying to put me down, right? So I answered and I said, at least I'm good at all the other things. So I think humour wins the day every time, all right guys? If you can just take your ego out of it and just have a laugh at yourself, laugh at the situation, I think it completely diffuses it. And who knows, it probably went over his head. He may have been a simple human being, we don't know, but it made me feel good because I didn't rise up to it too much. I didn't go, I think I did quite well actually. I did really good in my one-on-ones. I did loads of damage. He probably wants that argument, you know what I mean? That just fuels them. So yeah, you can just ignore them, say something polite, or you can say something humorous just to diffuse the situation. Anyway guys, I've been rambling for a long time. I hope that was kind of interesting for you guys. The idea of emotional intelligence is something that I've thought about for quite a while, and I wanted just to chat with you guys about it. Maybe I have some, psychology students watching. They can tell me more about this topic. I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, as always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Scout, where are you? Scout.
I am a spawn. Oh, very good weapon.
Yes, I unboxed it.
Did you unbox it?
Yeah.
Can I scam you for it?
No, I got next unusual sticky launcher.
Ah, yeah, you did. F*** off. Kill yourself.